Yeah, boy. Yes, he's back, 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 back again, again, again. Hold that's back, back, back. Tell a friend, friend, friend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're here, baby. We're here. It's your boy Luke. You know who it is. And it's my co host as always. Introduce yourself, brother.
Yeah, man, it's Abdallaini. We're here to talk about some foosball. We're gonna here to talk about some shit. And yeah, man, I'm excited. Chelsea fan. Um, it's been a crazy summer so far. Bare stories and everything. So we're gonna just update you guys on what's happening this season so far, and let's get into it.
Yeah, man. So basically, we're gonna talk about the transfers or the lack of transfers. Would you say, Margie?
Mm. Um, I think the biggest thing about the lack of transfers for the big clubs is that, especially when it comes to like Premier League to Premier League club, you can see that because of the TV money so big now, that these smaller teams don't need the money like they used to. Like 10, 15 years ago, you look at like a Brighton or like a Fulham, they would need the money in order for them to sign other players. It was like they had this big asset, let's say a Casado or the Paulinho, and they need to sell him in order to buy other players. But nowadays, because the football money is such in such high levels and the rest of Europe is pretty much flat broke, they don't need to sell their players and they can afford to buy players from all over Europe. And you're kind of having like the Super League is basically here. It's the Premier League, and that's what's been happening.
And that's the thing, like you rightfully said, like you gave Brighton as an example, and like when we think about the small clubs such as like the Fulham with Paulinho, Brighton with Caicedo, Southampton with Lavia, like you rightfully said, like they don't need to sell at all now. They ranking in the big bucks, and the thing is, even when you get relegated, you're still getting P's. So it's like so like for example, Chelsea, will start with your club. Like obviously with Liverpool swooping in and finding out that there's a release clause of 35 million for McAllister, it sort of shot Chelsea in the foot because now like Brighton don't even need to sell Caicedo. They don't want to lose both their best players. So now we're sort of like, okay, well, if Brighton do sell, then Chelsea have to spend near 100 mil. And like I want to know your thoughts on that because like 100 mil is a lot of money, and we know like Todd Bowley likes to splash the cash. Like we've been seeing it for these past 2 seasons now. He's splashing 600 mil, and it's like for me, like Caicedo is a ripoff. Surely there's another alternative going into this season with a lack of experienced midfielders, and that's an area that you guys need, along with a recognized number nine that's gonna bag you 20 to 30 goals a season. Like, what's your thoughts on the transfer so far? Because it is relatively slow and quiet.
Mm. Um, I do agree it's slow, but I think we've made mistakes in the past that has led to this point. I think the signing of Enzo, even though it was great, we overspent on him. We spent over 100 million. And then you look at the signing of Rice as well, another 100 million player. And Brighton are looking like at that as midfielders who they consider to be similar levels to Casado, only been in the top of their level for a season or maybe two. Haven't really shown it in the biggest of stages yet, but big money has been spent. So Brighton are looking like Casado. Okay, we have a guy that is potentially worth 100 mil. We're about to be in Europe. Chelsea aren't. They need him more than we need to sell him. So it's kind of a domino effect of um how crazy Todd B has been when it comes to transfers. It's great at the time, you get gassed, you're excited, but it's kind of starting to have that kind of like thing where we're becoming a club that people think they can take the piss out of, and Man
Yeah,
United is that kind of club. You know,
yeah,
people take the piss out of Man United all the time in terms of, oh, they say this, but then they do triple their amount. So I think Brighton is one of those clubs that's very difficult to deal with. They're pretty much the Napoli of England in terms of trying to deal with them in terms of trying to get a player out. And because McAllister had that release clause, they feel slighted because they sold a player that they could have sold for probably double or triple the amount. at such cheap costs. So anyone else that's going either doesn't want to be there, like their goalkeeper, or they're gonna sell for big peas because they need to make that kind of the money. They're a club about making money, spending little, making more money, and that's been their philosophy. You've seen it with the players they've sold. They're pretty much what the modern day Leicester in that sense. When you see Leicester selling Harry Maguire for 80 million, Ben Chilwell for 50, they're pretty much doing that same model, and it's working for them. And I think with Chelsea, what we've done recently is we've changed our model as well. We're not signing the big names. We're signing a bunch of 20 to 30 million pound players, and I think it's working better that way. So I don't mind if we miss out on Casado if we go for another 20 to 30 million pound player, because those players for me seem to be doing much better than the players that we've in the past 5 years bought for 100 million. You look at Lukaku failed. You're looking at other top players that we bought in. But then when you look at a Jackson, or when you even recently look at a Badashile, they're like 30 to 35 million coming from the French league. You're getting more value for the money that you're putting in. And I think that's what we need to go by. I think we need to basically do what Brighton does, but skip ahead of the line of them. Pay that bit extra in the early goings when a player's starting to be 18, 19, showing some kind of skill, and use our scouting systems. Because Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, they're scouting all these players that Brighton probably have signed, but they're just not putting the money in when it counts. Because these teams are probably going to ask for more money than they are going to ask for Brighton. But then you have the risk of a couple years down the line, 100 M's. That's similar with a Jude Bellingham. Liverpool thinking, yeah, we're going to sign him, this and that. Next thing you know, 100 million, he's out of our price range, and he's going off to Real Madrid, a player that you could have easily got a couple seasons earlier if you were willing to put the money in when it needed to be. So it's kind of a risk reward when it comes to these players. So it's better to go early in than to wait, and then you get the situation with a Casado, with a Bellingham, with a Rice, where you're overspending when you could have got him for so much cheaper a couple seasons earlier. So it's kind of one of those situations.
And I feel like, so like if we list some of the transfers right now, like we're looking at Real Madrid spending their 150 M. You got Declan Rice, who's not even worth the fee that he went for 105 mil. And it's like, you got teams like Brighton looking at that. You got teams like Southampton looking at that. And they're thinking, well, if Declan Rice can go for 105 mil, and Caicedo and Lavia are probably one of our best players, why am I selling them for cheap? We might as well go for 100 mil as well. Fuck it. So like, I don't blame Brighton for being like they're being, but then at the same time, like, you're slightly running a risk of Caicedo not wanting to give his 100%. So sometimes it does get to a point where you think, where does the line get drawn where you just have to concede defeat and be like, you know what, just let Caicedo go? Because I feel like he would be a midfielder that would help rejuvenate your midfield, and he's a similar Kante mode, you know, but better in terms of technical ability. So I feel like he got Caicedo in there, he sort of helps that midfield even more. I just feel like you're probably missing one more midfielder along with Caicedo, and you guys will be able to, your midfield will go clear. And I think the last bit that I want to mention is, like, have you heard the rumor about Lukaku and Vlahovic being in a swap deal? What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's a kind of needs must in a sense, because Lukaku as a player has burnt so many bridges. So he's burnt a bridge with us. He's burnt a bridge with Inter Milan. To some extent, even Juventus don't really want him like that. But I don't know why they're offering this deal. But I feel like it's kind of like getting someone who's younger, who's more hungrier, has more potential. There's like a crackling sound on your side for some reason.
Oh yeah,
oh shit, it's gone now. It's gone. Oh no, it's back. I don't know why it's that. I don't know. But anyway, as I was saying, I feel like with is it from my side?
Yeah.
Let me see. How about now? All right, cool. Yeah, no, is it my side?
Yeah.
The hell's happening? All right, it is ways. Anyway, what was I saying? With the swap deal, I believe with Vlahovic is a kind of player that we need. We need another striker to go alongside Jackson. I think competition is good, and we need to get rid of Lukaku at any choice. He's not going to go for a fee. He keeps rejecting Saudi Arabia, so the only team in for him right now is. The only team in for him right now is Juventus. So this is the kind of deal that we need to make happen. I think some people are looking at it and thinking, oh, Vlahovic is not what we need. But at the same time, it's kind of like if you're getting rid of a toxic element in Lukaku, any striker you get in return is going to be a boost. Even if Vlahovic is used as a backup striker to Jackson, it gives him competition. It means that the club still stays on top level. And if Jackson has a bad start to the season, then Vlahovic can come in and show if he can do the business as well. So I think it's beneficial for both the club and the players, because then you get rid of a toxic player that wants to play in Italy and you bring in someone young who has the potential to be molded by Pochettino.
Yeah, like for me, like the way how you guys have done your business so far is sort of similar to how Liverpool's done their business, in the sense of you guys are just getting rid of the dead wood, the dead weight that's holding your team back. And I feel like Liverpool's done exactly the same. Like Firmino's gone because he realized, you know, he doesn't want to be on the bench. He realized that he still has a lot to offer, but at the same time, like he knows that it's a young man's game, so he went off. You know, Fabinho's gone because his legs has been gone this season, and it's evident. You know, he's had to carry that midfield for I don't know how many years. That now his legs is gone, and I feel sorry for Fabinho because my guy's 29. I think he's 30 now, so he's in his prime. But with all that babysitting in midfield, you know, his legs are gone. Henderson, our captain's gone. I'm probably one of the only guys in a small bracket that's actually happy to see him go. Like I don't feel like he's offered anything in that midfield at all, apart from okay, yeah, he might have been a leader in terms of a shouting aspect and in terms of his off-field personality, but sometimes you need leaders to showcase example on a pitch. You don't need someone that's going to be a liability and offer nothing in that midfield. So I feel like the business that you have conducted is sort of similar to us in a sense of a reconstruction. And like I'm glad those two have gone out. We've brought in two ballers in midfield. The only thing that we're missing now is a CDM, and I'd love to see a CDM happen ASAP. I just read reports saying that Lavia, Southampton's rejected Liverpool's second bid, and now Liverpool's moving on to another CDM in a guy called Andre, who plays for Fluminense or somewhere in Brazil. It's a Brazilian team. Don't really know much about the guy, but I'm just happy to be linked with a CDM. I'm hoping that our business does not stop here. But if anyone knows FSG, you will know that trying to convince them to take money out and spend is obviously as difficult as, I don't know, a whole trying to convince someone to sleep with them outside of the clubs, like knowing that they might have an STD. You know, it's just difficult.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, I would love for us to sign a CDM, as I said, and then on top of that, another centre mid, and then on top of that, a centre back as well. You know, our defense has been lacking this pre-season. Yeah, our attack has been phenomenal, scoring goals for fun, brilliant football, exquisite, and I think over the years in Liverpool, attack has never been our problem. It's always been our defense. And with Van Dijk declining, yeah, he's the captain. But I feel like with him being on the decline, we need to to get that left-sided centre back in ASAP, and I'm hoping we do spend the money. I think for me, we're ushering a new era with Van Dijk as captain. Personally, I would have liked Mohamed Salah to be captain and then Trent be vice captain. I think Van Dijk shouldn't have been captain just because the levels that he showed over these last couple of years, he's been on a decline. He hasn't been his best, and sometimes you need your captain to be on their A game at least 9 times out of 10, and he just hasn't been that. Mohamed Salah has shown levels from the day he's put that shirt on till now. He's always shown maximum levels, world class levels, head of shoulder above the rest. Even during our worst season this season, he scored near 30 goals. And that is what you need from a captain. So I would have liked for him to be captain, but to me, it just makes me think that with Salah not being captain this season, it makes me think that he's going to be leaving next season for the Saudi League. That's what it makes me think. But yeah, mate, like for me, like I'm interested to see what happens. But I want to know your thoughts, Margie. Like, you know, we've always said in these pods before that our teams are very similar and they mirror each other. And going into this transfer window, we sort of mirrored each other again in the sense of, as I said, getting rid of the dead weight. You know, what's your thoughts? Have you looked paid close attention to my team, and have you got any thoughts towards, you know, the business that we've been conducting, etc.?
In terms of the players you've already signed, I agree with all of them. I think Szoboszlai was a shrewd pickup. I think he's a player that can definitely. Is a player definitely that I think would work for your team. Who else you bought? What's the name? McAllister. I think that was one of your best pickups. I think he was very underrated last season. Great player for Brighton. You still need a DM because you let go of Fabinho and Henderson, which in my opinion, it didn't make sense to let go of both. I think you still needed one of them just to. I think you should have kept Fabinho and then bring in someone like a Lavia so he can actually train him up to be the next DM over the course of a season rather than just going cold turkey into a new DM. So
I agree.
Yeah, so if you're getting someone like Young, you need experience there to help him along the way. And I think your midfield right now is lacking that. So I think Henderson should have gone, but Fabinho should have stayed. I think he should have been a piece that you kept around the situation because you have kind of like a bit of that in the defense in terms of Van Dijk and a bit in the forward line when it comes to Salah. So you can teach the next generation what it means to be a Liverpool player, what it means to go on from that. And in terms of what else you need, it's just defensive midfield and a left centre back. The problem is that your ownership is being very cheap because the reality is the Casados of this world should be going to Liverpool. Liverpool should be looking at a Guardiola as a left-sided centre back. They should be looking at the upper echelons because they make so much money. And for me, it's like you've made so much money over the past 10 years in terms of winning the big trophies, big endorsement deals. I think that your ownership is letting you down in terms of why is it you're always cheaping out on these players, saying, you know what the price was for Lavia? It was always going to be 50 million because they have that percentage clause which goes to Man City. So they need to kind of get a certain amount of money for them to sell him. But then you do two bids and then you're like, oh, I'll move on to the next guy. But the reality is any player that you try and get is going to be lesser quality than Lavia. And Lavia is the cheap option anyway compared to Casado or even going for like a Declan Rice. So when it comes to the defensive mid, another player that I think you should have gone for is Amrabat. He's a cheaper option. I don't know why you're not in for someone like him. Paulinho would be great as well from Fulham. I think you could get him in, and he's shown last season that he was a difference maker for that club. So bringing him in would be perfect in this essence. I think the DM position for both of our clubs is something that we both need. I think it's just we have similar issues. We both need a defensive mid. We need a few extra things in the attack, and I think you need a few extra things in your defense. It's kind of like if we could swap a couple attackers for a couple defenders, then our teams would be perfect pretty much. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know who you're gonna get in for the centre back position, because I think Joe Gomez is a liability. I think Matip is over the hill. Van Dijk to me is over the hill as well, but less of a sense than Matip is. And then you've got Konate, so you only got one centre back that you can truly rely on. He needs a partner for the future. And then your attack is sorted. I think your attack, I don't think you need to change. You got Jota, you got Nunes, you got guys that can improve over the next couple seasons. And then yeah, DM, centre backs, goalkeeper's fine. I think fullbacks you're pretty much sorted. And it's just for me, the left-sided centre back and the DM is the two positions that you need to be spending 100 M's on each, in my opinion. As soon as you hear the Caicedo deal is not going as quick, you should have just been 100 M's. All right, cool. Bid it, get him in. Guardiola, Man City hasn't got that deal over the line. Bid the money because you have that money. And the problem with Liverpool is always going to be the same thing, where their ownership is going to let them down. And that's the difference between our clubs. Is at least our ownership is willing to spend silly money. And they will make a couple mistakes, but they're willing to spend the money. And that's the thing. I don't know why FSG still believe that this tactic of cheaping out on these players is going to make it better. You're just going to go down the table, because you look at Newcastle, they're going to be spending big. Brighton are doing their thing. You got Aston Villa, who's had a great transfer window. So when you look around and you look at the likes of Arsenal, Man U, Man City as well, it's going to be even more difficult to get top 4 next season. So you need to get these positions in, and you should have done it earlier on, because we're 2 weeks away. So my frustration is the same frustration Liverpool fans have. We need these players in before pre-season. We've played about 3-4 games already. The first game of the season is Chelsea v Liverpool. If you don't have a DM and we don't have a DM for that, proper DM for that game's going to be a madness. It's going to be like 7-7 or something stupid like that. It's just going to be goals galore. It's just going to be goals. Like, I don't get this. Both of our teams are just moving dumb. And we can't afford to kind of be... We need to... The thing with the Caicedo situation and with what Liverpool are trying to do with Lavia, get it done ASAP. Spend the extra money. Who cares? It's... In the end of the day, the Champions League money you get next season, winning the trophies you get next season will bring you back money tenfold. You spend to make in this game, and that's the thing. If you don't spend, you'll get left behind, and the smaller clubs are getting even better. The teams coming from the Championship, the lower level teams, your mid-table teams, your 6 to 10, they're creeping up slowly but slowly. So it's a frustration thing. So I ain't gonna lie to you. If I was a Liverpool fan, I need this ownership to leave as soon as possible. I think it's about time that they go. Their 1 in, 1 out policy isn't gonna work anytime soon. And these mistakes come from the fact that at one point Liverpool was the best team in the world a couple seasons ago, when you won that Premier League, when you won the Champions League, Premier League, and you spent nothing to keep it going, and you let these players get worse and worse and worse, and only now you're selling Henderson and Fabinho. These kind of man should have gone 2-3 seasons ago, and you've already should have brought in the replacements. You spent a whole summer saying we're going to get Jude. He's gone to Madrid. You had like pictures of Jude, Caicedo, who was the other one? Enzo. You didn't get any of them. How are you meant to be the second biggest club in England and you're not getting the best players in the world? Mbappe is available. Liverpool should be all over that. They should be one of the clubs mentioned, but they're not. Jurgen Klopp's all in the interview stage. We don't have the money to do. You do have the money. Your ownership is just acting dumb. And that annoys me. It annoys me a lot, because Liverpool can be a great club, but their ownership's letting their fans down. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Hopefully you'll be able to get your mic sorted, because the crackling is a madness.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, speaking of ownerships, like, although our owners are being tight, we've got 3 owners who are spending the cash when necessary. You know, you got United owners. You know, you got the fan base of United always saying Glazers out. Or what one place? Yeah, it's Marju's mic that's crackling. But yeah, you got the Glazers, where the United fans are saying, you know, Glazers out, you know. But yet the Glazers are spending money. The Glazers are getting players in for United. You know, they're spending their 100, 200 M's every single transfer window to help rebuild the team. You know, you got the likes of Arsenal, whereby, you know, their owners wasn't spending any money, but that's obviously because they were trying to, you know, pay off the stadium. But now you see them investing in Mikel Arteta and spending money. You know, they're again another transfer window where they're going to be spending 200 M's as well. You know, you got the likes of Man City, you know, who are also spending money. But I think for me, when you analyze those three teams, and I want to try dissect them, you know, City right now are moving very quiet with their transfer windows, and it's not really like Man City to do that. You know, they've got rid of so many players who've gone to the Saudi League, but they haven't brought in anyone to replace them. I think, you know, the likes of Mahrez leaving, who I always believe is an underrated player, you know, he's gone. There's no one there to replace him. You know, you had Bernardo Silva, whose ambition was to leave, but it seems like he's going to be staying. Again, another player whose mind is elsewhere that wants to leave, you know. And then like you've got Laporte who wants to leave as well. But then at the same time, no one's bidding for him. So you got a lot of players in there that actually wants to leave, but they're having to stay there. Not to mention João Cancelo. So you've got notably a disharmony throughout the camp. You got players that want to stay, and then you got players that want to leave. And for me, it's a case of how can Pep Guardiola find the motivation within that camp to try and win another back-to-back trophy again. Because not to mention, when you look at Kevin De Bruyne, last season he was on the decline and he wasn't putting out numbers or putting out performances that you would associate a Kevin De Bruyne performance. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Now, when you look at the opposite side of Manchester with United, they haven't really got going with the type of signings that I would have expected them to have signed. The Onana one didn't make sense to me and still doesn't. I had guys at my workplace saying that he's an upgrade from David De Gea, but Onana's still a liability. I personally don't feel like he's a good goalkeeper. When you look at teams wanting to win the league, the difference is always going to be a defense and a CDM. But the base of a good team starts from your goalkeeper. Chelsea had it with Peter Cech. Liverpool has it with Alisson. United had it with Edwin van der Sar. And then at the peak of his powers, when David De Gea wasn't doing his BS, David De Gea. You know, everyone has their quality goalkeeper. And I just don't think Onana's going to be that difference maker to take them to winning a trophy. Then you look at the likes of Mason Mount, who that signing didn't even make sense because you got a Bruno Fernandes who plays in the cam. A natural position of Mason Mount is the cam. He's too slow to play in the wide areas. So why did you bring him in? Is it to play the 8 in CM? But then even then, that doesn't still make sense to me. Because you need someone that's technically capable of being a ball carrier in midfield that can look up, rotate, and supply with Bruno Fernandes. I don't feel like he has that capability of doing that. So that signing didn't make sense to me. Then they're going out to sign this young guy for 70 something, 60, 70 something million on a guy that's only scored 6 career goals or 6 league goals last season for 60, 70 M. And it's teams at Manchester United that give teams like Brighton the confidence to say I want 100 M's for Caicedo. And then last but not least, you see Arsenal. The signings that they've made doesn't make sense. The Havertz still didn't make sense. Like for me, if I'm looking at Arsenal and I'm thinking, you know what, how can I sustain and maintain this team, but also add to it? I'm thinking more of an experience perspective. You know, sign an experienced centre back, sign an experienced CDM, sign an experienced striker that's going to be grabbing you 20, 30 goals and have them rotate with Gabriel Jesus. Then potentially think about maybe the fullbacks or maybe even cover for the wide areas. Maybe even bring in an experienced right midfielder to alleviate the pressure off of Saka, because at the back end of last season, his form started to dip. Why? Because he was tired. So I think for me, like, we're going into, all these clubs are going into this season. I don't know about you, Marju, but all these clubs are going into this season, and I don't know who's going to win the league, because it just feels like everyone is all. This is the first time for me personally that we're going into a season where every club has so much uncertainty. Chelsea, Liverpool don't have a CDM. United, they're signing players which don't make sense, and they're losing in their pre-season as well. Like Arsenal's not signing experienced guys, but they're signing players that don't suit their squad. And then you got Man City's window, who's very quiet, and they haven't even replaced the guys that they've sold. They haven't even got the Guardiola deal over the line yet. He's not confirmed. So at this rate, Man City's squad is probably shrunken and not even got that depth that we would associate Man City to have. Like I would love to know like your thoughts heading into this season and your thoughts on those three teams in the sense of City, Arsenal, and Manchester United. Because to me, I'm really like not concerned or confused, but I'm struggling to understand like what's going on with all the clubs really. I'm thinking, what is this season gonna be like? Because it's a very uncertain season right now. What do you think, Margie?
Mm, I think with City, I think they need to get like they need the centre back. They need Guardiola. They need a winger because they let go of Mahrez. So I think they need wingers. They need wingers and centre backs. But I can't really go against them because Pep Guardiola is a creative genius in terms of management. He can easily change the players around in order to make the system work. So he can bring in anyone. Plus, they've got a lot of youth talent as well. So I think Man City are probably out of those three clubs the one that I would not look in a bad light the least because they've just came off of winning a treble. In terms of Arsenal and United, I just think they've made mistakes. Obviously, um, I know who Havertz and Mount are, and the fact that they bought them for the amount of money that they did, thank you. But I'll be honest, for both teams, it just didn't make sense. For Arsenal, they needed a replacement for Xhaka, and Havertz isn't that guy. He's not going to play left centre mid. He isn't a combatant. He's going to get bullied off the ball. He doesn't really give you anything in midfield like that. And maybe they believe in Arteta to mold him into that kind of player, but I don't think that will happen. Declan Rice is a great signing. That's an improvement on what they got, but I think Havertz is going to have to become a bench player because their best midfield is probably Declan Rice, Partey, and Odegaard. So I don't know why they spent 65 M's on a guy that they're probably going to have to bench. They still haven't got a striker, in my opinion. I think they need someone that can compete with Jesus. They look like they want to sell Nketiah and Balogun, so you either keep one of those guys or get someone who you think can improve. I think Balogun is a guy that could do something next season if they keep him, but they keep talking about wanting to let him go, even though he was one of the top scorers in League R. And then they randomly are going for a goalkeeper, which for me, if you're gonna get a goalkeeper, you need to get someone who is exceptionally better than what you have. The guy from Brentford, who in my opinion is just on a similar level to who Ramsdale is, doesn't make sense.
They just agreed personal terms with him.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It's a waste of money. You're better off improving other parts. You need a backup right wing to Saka, but you kept Reece Nelson, even though you don't play him when Saka's playing badly. So you needed a right winger. You needed other places to improve, and I think it's just a waste of money, in my opinion. For United, the Mount deal didn't make sense to me. They needed a midfielder that was a bit more solid. They still need a backup DM to Casemiro. So Amrabat deal might be good for them. Centre backs, they still haven't got rid of a Maguire. So I don't understand that, why he's still there. I mean, you saw the video of Onana shouting at him. That's going to happen multiple times across the season. And we know that Varane is injury prone. So when Varane gets injured, who's coming in? And you look at that and you think, okay, so you didn't bring in centre backs when you needed to. You wasted money on Mount, even though you have Bruno Fernandes. You basically got the English version of what you already got. And then forward line, instead of going big for someone like Kane, we went for this youngster, but you don't know. It's an unproven talent. He hasn't really done much in to say that he's gonna be something special. It could go either way, but I feel like you needed an experienced striker alongside him to show him the ropes. I don't know why you kept Marshall. He gets injured. He's probably out more than he's in the game. When he's on, he does bits, but more time than not, he's in the showers at home, chilling, getting paid, doing nothing. So it's like it's a lot of pointless. It's a lot of pointless things. I think United have a lot of holes to fill, and yeah, I just think they need to do more. I don't understand. I don't really understand what any teams are really doing. I think a lot of teams have holes. A lot of teams need to have places where they can improve, and I don't know what's going to happen next season. It's going to be an interesting one, but I don't know. Really don't know where these teams are going to finish.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. You know what else is interesting? This Saudi league thing, man. This is a madness, an absolute madness. Like, man, them are getting paid 100 mil a year, bruv, just to go and kick ball with guys who don't even have no tech, fam. These men are kicking the ball like, say, they're kicking that. Remember back in school days, yeah, in primary school, when you used to kick that the football, and the ball used to float up in the air. Like, them man there, yeah, are kicking the ball and treating the football, yeah, like that is back then. No techers, no nothing. I saw, yeah, one clip of one of them, and one of Ronaldo's teammates. They were on the pitch, and he was trying to like control the ball. So he was like running down on the wing on the left hand side, trying to control the ball or whatnot, dribbling. Nobody was putting pressure on him. Ronaldo was in the box. My guy smacked the ball, and the ball, instead of the ball going straight and directly to the goalkeeper, the ball went up. Literally just went up and then went into row Z. Like, this is the type of football that all these men have signed themselves up to. They've left the European leagues, yeah, of tech, Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga. They've left. They've literally left. Yeah, no problem, Marju. Marju's hopefully dealing with his mic. But yeah, man, they fully left a league whereby they're able to be in a Champions League or just Europe as a whole, and they're able to be in the biggest tournament in world football today, the Champions League, and they've left that to go to the Saudis to deal with guys that don't know how to kick a ball or even pass. Imagine. Like, that is what people have succumbed to. That is what people are doing to their careers. It's mad to me. Like, it is. Like, for me, like, you're if you're in your mid 30s and you're ready to retire, then by all means go to the Saudi league. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see a problem with any with that at all. You know, go get your money, collect your peas. But imagine you're in your prime. You're literally in your prime. You're 27, 28 years old. Oh, you're 27, you're 27, 28 years old, and you're in the Saudi league. Like, you've relinquished European football. You've relinquished talented teammates to play with bums that can't even kick a ball. Like, and don't get it twisted. Like, I'm not even shooting down. Like, go make your money. Like, I remember I spoke to my sister, and she was like, she spoke to her husband, and her husband was like, "Yeah, I'd go out there." And she was like, "Why?" And then she don't understand it. She was like, she wouldn't go out there. And I told her, I said, I will go out there. Fuck it. The money's tax free, and I know I won't be able to bring that money back. And even if I were to bring the money back over, I'd be paying a hell of a lot of tax. But for me, 100 M's just to kick ball with dead ballers, and I can probably smack a goal from here to fucking Peckham. Why not? I 100% go there. Get your money, player. I'm in a hot country as well. 50 fucking degrees. So I'm getting tanned up every single day. Like, why not? Why not? I can link. I don't know. Like, I've never played with, say for example, I'm Ronaldo and I haven't played with Lionel Messi before. Say for example, Messi was there and I haven't even played with Messi before. I get to link up with Messi and get some food. You know what I mean? I'm getting 100 M's. Why not? I'll do it. Yeah, I'd retire out there. Why not, man? Get your money, man. I don't blame these guys. Get your money. Get your money up. Set your family up for life, rude boy. That's what I say. Go out there, spend 2 to 3 years collecting your M's and set your money up for life, because who knows? Like, these men are probably doing, I know Sadio Mane anyway, but like, imagine you're going out there collecting your 100 M's, and you could be trying to do what Sadio Mane is doing and building hospitals and all of that in your home country. Setting up 100 M's will allow you to just set up your whole country for life. For life. Or if you wanted to, you could buy a football club if you wanted to. Like, why not? I don't see nothing wrong in these guys going out there. And all of those pundits that are saying, "Oh, why are you going out there, Jordan Henderson? Why did you go out there? You're a disgrace." Blah blah blah. Don't shoot on man's legacy. Don't shoot on man that he wants to make a good living for himself and his family. Like, not many people are gonna see 100 M's in their lifetime. Like, for me, I just feel like the pundits are jealous that man them now are getting paid XYZ money and them man were only getting paid peanuts. Like, for me, like, I would 100% do it. Like, exactly what Jay's saying. Like, he said he would do it. He said, not if I was young and I cared about a career legacy, but he would do it as well. Like, anyone would do it. Like, if you're approaching that age where you're going to retire, collect that final paycheck, bro. Like, go out there and be happy. That's what I would do. Like, what do you think about Margie? I know this is probably close to home for you. So,
Yeah.
like, what's your thoughts?
I think it would be good but to be honest, if you're 29, 30 and you're twilight of your career, this is a short career. So for you, it's like so for me, I would do it, definitely. I would do it because it's the kind of thing of like your career is only a certain amount of time. After that, you don't know what's gonna happen. So make stupid money playing in a league where you're playing alongside maybe a Ronaldo or a Mane and stuff like that. Like, even they're offering houses and decent wages for the third division. So it's kind of like life changing money for some people. And if you're Henderson and you're Fabinho and you're like, okay, I've won everything I needed to. I won the Champions League, I won the Premier League. Just make money for the family. Make sure that my next generation are fine. And even if you get taxed 50% of that money, 50 over 100 M's, you're good for life, pretty much. And then I get some young players who, if you don't believe that you can make it in Europe, it's a good option B. So if you're like 24, 25, even if you have ambition to make it in Europe, some guys aren't them guys. Like a Jota from Celtic went to the Saudi league, but he was never gonna be anything bigger than he was at Celtic. So why not make a bit of extra bread in and be in a nice country where it's nice weather? You probably can live in one of the other countries nearby. You don't even have to live in Saudi. Some of these men are living in like Oman or Jordan or countries nearby that have better conditions for living in and just flying over or driving over. So there's plenty of options. And the reality is it's only a couple seasons, couple years. You're in Saudi, make your money, then you go anywhere else in the world. Retire. That's it. It's the end. If it's towards the end of your career, it makes sense. If you don't think you're gonna make it in Europe, then it's a good option B for some of these guys, especially these Brazilians, South American guys. Like this is life changing money for them. So if they think, I'm not making it in Europe, but I can go Saudi and play alongside some of these over the edge ballers who I've watched on TV, why not do it? And the only reason why people got against it is because it's a Middle Eastern Muslim country that has stricter laws, but that's nothing to do with the players. They're just playing a sport. Regardless of where they are in the world playing that sport, they don't decide the rules and the laws of that country. It's the same thing when you go to the MLS. You're getting big money, but you don't decide the laws or the gun laws and stuff. You may not be against certain things, but you don't. You're just a sportsman. You're just there to do a job. It's a job in the end of the day. And if you're offered more money to go somewhere else, and your family agrees to it, and you agree to it, then go do it. No one's. Why does anyone have to complain about that? And the only people who has issues with it is as you said, former players who couldn't do it themselves, or people who have ulterior motives or ulterior things that they've got against that nation. But reality is, go get your money. Like, imagine if like some of these sports presenters got the opportunity. They went to the World Cup in Qatar. Gary Neville did, even though he was like saying, oh no, I'm against this country. But when the bag was there, when the money was there, you're gonna willing to do it. If these guys are Gary Lineker and them man, they're getting paid big money to commentate on the Saudi league, do you think they're gonna say no? They're gonna go do it. These YouTubers that are AFTV is gonna turn to Etihad TV in an instant if Robbie gets that bag from the Saudis. You think they care about Arsenal no more? You're gonna be seeing Al Troops and them man there. So that's what it is, really. That's how I feel about it.
Troops is gonna be in his element out there, fam, because he looked like the brothers out there anyway. But you know what? Yeah, like fam, like it's no different. Like imagine back then, like a few years ago, like the Chinese Super League was up, or they were out here trying to sign players and giving them big P's. Then you got like the MLS. You got like the MLS. They were doing the exact same thing, spending big P's, bringing Ibrahimovic in, Wayne Rooney and David Beckham in, paying their wages, the extortion. What? But no one was saying anything though. No one was batting an eyelid then. But as you rightfully said, the minute a Muslim country comes in and splash some cash, and they're coming out saying, oh, you get 100 M's a year, you get 200 M's a year, and Mbappe, you can get 1 billion a year. Like, that's when now it's a problem. Like, racism, that's all it is, man. Racism in broad daylight, and that will never ever change when it comes to the Premier, or not even the Premier League football. It will never change, and it's a shame. As I said, I would do it, and I wouldn't even care. Again, set your family up for life and get your money. Make your money, bro. You're not affecting no one. You're not damaging no one. You're not doing anything. You're just doing what you love, which is play football, and you're getting paid your worth to do it. That's all. So my final point to close is get your money. And if there's anyone else in the league in European football that is afraid to do it, don't even care what anybody says, because like Margie rightfully said, like you might not even make it in Europe. So why not just make your peas? Go out and make your peas. Because at the end of the day, number one, you play football because you enjoy it and that's your passion. Number two, you also play football because you want to leave a legacy to win trophies. And number three, you want to get paid your worth. So if you've already accomplished those first two, then the final thing for you to do in your football career is to make bank. Literally. Like literally, if you want to get paid like how Lionel Messi's been paid and Ronaldo's been paid all their careers, then go get your peas. Look at man like Braithwaite, stealing a living all his life, stealing a living, going to clubs and stealing a living. If you're envious and seeing that man stealing a living like that, go get your peas, bro. Get your money. Get your money up, not your funny up. Anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
that's my last point. Anyway, man, I'm gonna close on that. Like, is there anything you want to say to close, Margie?
No, man, just get your money. Really, who cares where you're playing in the world? If they're offering you more than the next club, then do it. Like, especially a lot of these players that went to that league, a lot of them were Muslim. Like the likes of Mendy, the likes of Mahrez, the likes of that. So they're just going to a place where they can just make their money, spend time with their family, pray 5 times a day, and they'll be allowed to because that's the kind of country. They're not going to be saying, "Oh, you got prayer time." They're just going to go off prayer, do their thing, play some football, and they're earning what 3-4 times what they would be earning in any other league. So when it comes to a player from the Premier League that's done their thing up to 29, 30, Europe don't have no money no more. So where else you're gonna go that's gonna give you the bread that you need to make sure that your retirement fund is done? Saudi, it used to be China, and maybe MLS. That's it. Those are your three options. And China ain't giving money out like that anymore. And MLS are only doing it on a player by player basis. So Saudi's got the money now, and they're trying to make their thing big because they want to get the 2030 World Cup. Opportunities arrive. Hey, and if they need to do like a Saudi podcast, I'm there.
You heard it from Margie themselves. Any Saudis watching this thing, hit up Margie, innit? Man is ready. He's out here. He's
Yeah,
positioned
fam.
himself for that position. But yeah, man, like obviously, yeah, we're gonna close on this. It's been good to talk football again with my bro Margie. It's been good to be back. Obviously, we're gonna be back on a weekly basis every single Tuesday talking about football. Next week we return debating or having a discussion about our predictions for the league, for the top four, and for the relegation as well. And then anything else outside of that, we'll talk about. This has been your boy Luke. Again, great to discuss football, and that's me. I'm out. Margie, sign yourself out, bro.
Yeah, man, it's Abdallah Yili. Um, we we here. I'm gonna be the correspondent for the Saudi League, fam. Give me that paper, fam. I need that money. I'm broke. I'm broke.
You're a fool.
No, on a serious, no, great episode. Some technical difficulties, but we'll iron them out, and can't wait for more.
Yeah, man. And yeah, love Jay. Thanks for tuning in as always. And yeah, this is Luke. This is Marjube. Hold that. We out.
Foosball, and we out.
See.